use the word emergency for the first time in about...
This is Jim, and,
Receiving this message. We are Ken Jennings and John Roderick. We speak to you from our present, which we can only assume is your distant past, the turbulent time that was the early 21st century.
Fearing the great cataclysm that will surely befall our civilization, we began this monumental reference of strange and obscure human knowledge. These recordings represent our attempt to compile and preserve wonders and esoterica that would otherwise be lost.
So whether you're listening from an advanced civilization or have just reinvented the technology to decrypt our transmissions, this is our legacy to you.
This is our time capsule. This is the Omnibus. You have accessed entry 451.2K0428, certificate number 51533, the false Dmitrys.
Now we're recording this in mid-2025.
Year of our Lord 2025.
Difficult time in a lot of the West.
Yeah, we have really not figured it out.
It turns out.
It seemed like
America, that's what the front line is going to be called. America, didn't really have it all figured out.
Have it. We thought we had it figured out more than we do.
Yeah, we were like 200 years, what could go wrong?
Yep, and then it's 250 now, and
it's going wrong.
Yeah, not wrong. Let's just say sideways. Because we don't know. Exactly. We don't know. 10 years from now?
No era is forever.
That's right. No era is forever.
But it's also a time of transition here at the Omnibus Project.
That's right.
As we discussed.
It hasn't gone wrong.
Last week.
It's only gone sideways.
Well, it hasn't gone sideways yet. We don't know what's going to happen. But we're trying to figure out how to do a version of the Omnibus where I don't have to be on the show every week because I'm lazy.
Yeah, for those of you who only listen to every other show and might have missed our long outro last week.
Or only the shows about medieval Russia.
Right, or only the shows that are hosted by Ken. This is going to be even harder news for you.
Really bad news for you.
Which is that...
Please sit down.
After almost 8 years of recording the Omnibus Project, for a few of which, for how many years did we do 2 a week?
Yeah.
Insane.
Like half of it.
Almost 800 shows. Ken now is, and we've seen this coming for a long time. Ken and I have been talking about it for a few years at least, that we always knew there would be a day that his, the siren song of Hollywood would carry Ken off to dash him on the rocks of big time showbiz and fame and money and decadence.
We
Except Mormon decadence, which is like 2 jars of pickles.
I think I'm going to try sweet pickles.
You know what?
We're going to bread and butter pickles today.
I'm just going to eat it right out of the fridge. Nobody can stop me. And then Mindy's like, don't.
Get a fork.
And you're like, oh, sorry.
Yeah, I just kind of thought we were going to be middle-aged Seattle guys who would do the show forever as a nice replacement for whatever other work was drying up.
Yeah, we're already middle-aged Seattle guys who have been doing this show forever.
But then suddenly I tripped over the Jeopardy job, and now I'm doing that full-time, and I love it.
You're carrying bags of money from place to place.
And that's the hard part.
I know.
The money's so heavy.
It's weird they pay you in gold. You would think they'd just put it in your account. But.
It's because I guessed the little imp's name. And now Jeopardy has to pay me in fairy gold.
But it is, I think, to Ken's credit, that he believes so much in the Omnibus Project, not just the premise of it, but in the execution of it.
It's fun. I love doing this show.
He wants Omnibus to continue even as he becomes an emeritus executive producer, sometimes contributor, correspondent.
Oh yeah. What if I just came on like Andy Rooney at the end of every show and was like, you ever use a pencil sharpener? I don't like that noise they make.
We could work it out. We haven't exactly figured out all of the ways that Omnibus Project is going to continue in both its many old forms and many new forms. Because, of course, as everyone who listens agrees, you are irreplaceable.
But it's a time of metamorphosis.
It is, and we're going to.
How do you keep what's good about Omnibus, but accommodate a lazy co-host like me who is having a hard time keeping it into his schedule?
Yeah, how do you jettison the dead weight of Ken phoning in half of the show? No, what we're going to do is pivot to an Omnibus project where we have a succession of guest hosts, kind of recapitulating the Jeopardy search for a new host,
which everyone agrees it was like just a high point of television production.
It was so great. There were no hurt feelings. There were no conspiracy theories. There was no
we want to capture that lightning in a bottle here at Omnibus.
Backstabbing. And what we determined was it was not only was it impossible to replace Ken, but this show doesn't really suit itself to having a co-host who is any particular kind of comedian, because they don't tend to be either smart or good.
Comedians are smart and good.
I mean good, like morally good.
Oh,
Comedians are profoundly not good human beings. They're also, they're very smart.
Except for, we have to say some sainted comedian, except for Gilda Radner.
Oh, Gilda Radner is both smart and good, but and most comedians are very smart. It's just that not smart about the weird sort of rustic kind of smart that you have, where it should be a weird kind of what matches are made of or whatever it is that
it should be a weird kind of omnivory or something.
Yeah.
Where you just, I'll talk about anything for an hour.
But also scholars and academics tend to be maybe not always so light.
They're not so into performing.
They're not light on their feet the way that you are. And so in trying to duplicate your and my banter, which is unduplicatable, we're going to have a succession of guest hosts come in with their addition to the Omnibus corpus.
Yeah.
We get so many requests from people, so many suggestions from people, and it made us realize that there are a lot of people, a lot of futurelings that have tremendous expertise.
Sometimes people would send in their suggestions with an outline of how the show would be structured.
Yes.
And you realized a lot of them were kind of Omnibus guests in embryo.
Yeah, wanting to get
they wanted to be on the couch.
Their vision of it into the Omnibus. And of course, as we all know, there's so much more that needs to be etched on those platinum records before the inevitable catastrophe.
Can you imagine the future not getting the show they want about Etch-a-Sketches?
Yeah, they're like, what? I sent that request in 4 times. I'm a Patreon subscriber. So it's going to be very exciting. Of course, I'm going to bring lots of cultural commentators from Ken's and my own wide circle of people who share our love of the obscure, and
I get to guest host too sometimes as schedules permit.
Ken gets to bully his way onto the show whenever he's like,
now unpaid.
I'm bored this week. I'm coming on and bumping,
John, get out of bed. I'm coming over.
But it also is a great opportunity for people to come on the show. If you are a lay person who knows a lot about something that maybe your spouse or friends either don't know about you or are really tired of hearing. Or if you just discovered some interesting, it has to be more than a fact, right? You can't just do a whole episode of Omnibus based on a factoid.
We should have some best practices document we send out, right?
There will be, and where you go is omnibusproject.com/guest to sign up to host the show, co-host the show with me. And there will be sort of a best practices one sheet there.
Just to walk you through it. So you're
says
but it's just going to be a conversation. You shouldn't have any kind of stage fright about it.
You're going to come on the show and
John's
you're going to say, here is the topic for the show. And I'm going to say, hey, where did you go to high school? And then I'm going to talk about my walk across Europe. And eventually we'll get to the topic of your show. But that's the Omnibus way.
So yeah, it's a time of metamorphosis for
right.
us. And it's bittersweet for me because I'm going to miss being a weekly presence here on Omnibus. Instead, kind of a weird spectral floating presence. Maybe there's a Ouija board segment where you communicate with me seance style. That would be better than Andy Rooney, right? Or you could combine them. You do a seance at the end and it's like, what do you think about suspenders? Should people wear suspenders?
Thing is, you and I see each other all the time. So now every time you invite me over to dinner, I'm going to come with a little microphone.
Yeah, you're going to be wired.
And be like, hey, Ken, well, what do you think about suspenders?
People are going to be like, why is there so much chewing on Omnibus now? But this idea of like finding a successor to someone, to an amazing personality like myself, it has some echoes in history.
Yeah. Throughout history, what would happen is you would die, right? Either I would put a knife in you, or your son or your nephew probably would put a knife in you. And then we wouldn't have to have all this run up.
Yes. I would be, at some point I'd be thrown to the pigs, or buried in the Volga River, tossed in the Volga River. And, I couldn't come back to guest host, really.
Well, and ideally for me in that situation, there would only be one podcast and people would be forced to listen to it. So you being dead and thrown in the Volga River wouldn't matter to me. I would just replace you with your uncle.
Because right now we have a Patreon. So you do collect taxes as a podcast. But the problem is other podcasts out there are also collecting taxes.
Yes.
This would be a world with the divine right of you.
The divine right of me.
And nobody's like, well, I got to toss Jesse Thorne a little money. You're like, nope.
No, sir.
You can go to France for that.
I'm afraid not. Don't even give it to the dollop. So that is the challenge, right? We're throwing you in the Volga, but there's always going to be some, hopefully small group of people that are like, I just tune in to hear Ken's nasal reading of 3x5 cards. I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear the.
It doesn't sound like I'm that hard to replace.
I don't want to hear the lazy bear talk about stuff that he doesn't know anything about. Let's be honest.
So you and I were discussing, like, what could we talk about on the show that had some resonance with our current, omnibus in Chrysalis, and we could call it Chrysalis now.
Chrysalis, the Chrysalis Project.
I guess that's what Lame Duck Omnibus could be called, where I'm still hosting, even though I got one eye on my watch.
Right. Listeners will be able to hear me coming up with the new show over the next few weeks.
And me gradually losing interest.
And you being like, oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You should do that. Okay.
I'm like, oh wow. It would be great.
Your shows start to balloon to 2-hour lengths. Mine are down to 38 minutes.
Yeah.
This morning I woke up, I told you this, I just woke up from a dead sleep and sat up like a character in a movie and said, George Lazenby. We should do an omnibus about George Lazenby trying to replace James Bond.
Yeah.
And then we realized maybe that was not the impression we wanted to give of the omnibus transition.
No, I definitely don't want you to be the James Bond of this story. And our hapless first guest that doesn't want to be George Lazenby. Some
Australian male model.
Yeah, whose wife gets killed in the movie and he never makes another one.
In that case, Sean Connery does come back twice, though, if you count Never Say Never Again. So that is more analogous to our...
True, you're right. Not wrong.
Sadly, we were unable... we would have loved to have Alex Trebek in the Jeopardy guest host rotation. He was the only person who was good at it.
Yeah.
And he was sadly unavailable.
Yeah, that is true.
My wife last night at dinner said, you should do a show about the Beatles breaking up. And I was like, well, that's not the best idea. I said, who's Yoko in this scenario? You? And she said, no, Jeopardy. Jeopardy is Yoko. It's true. Jeopardy is Yoko.
And then, but clearly in your and my relationship, I'm John and you're Paul.
I am Paul. That's true.
Right. And so.
Because you have glasses and her name John.
But I don't want to be mean. I don't want to be like John mean.
In this scenario, you've decided to break up Omnibus, but you haven't allowed me to tell anyone.
It was George that broke up Omnibus.
When he walked out during the middle of that one episode.
Yeah. And I mean, all of your shows are kind of in that Paul, I don't know.
Wait, that's Bing Crosby.
Yeah, but Paul is kind of the Bing of the Beatles.
Because he's doing that thing with his head.
Shooby-doo.
I finally decided to do a show. We've done shows about different kinds of pretenders to various thrones before.
Yes, we have.
And I think this whole time, until this morning, I had misunderstood what the word pretender meant. Because the other meaning of pretense would be, somebody performing or falsifying something that's not true. I guess I assumed that a pretender to the throne meant somebody who was falsifying their royal identity.
Yeah.
In fact, that is not true. a pretender just means anybody making a pretense of royal blood, whether legitimate or not. It just means a claimant, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So there are pretenders to the throne that are real. You can be real and a pretender.
Mm-hmm.
Does that blow your mind?
I feel like
I mean, Chrissy Hines very real, and she's a pretender.
True.
So we have one modern example.
I wake up every morning and look in the mirror and go, real or pretender? And then...
Do you have two different kinds of days?
It sort of depends. You know, I keep my coffee in a little jar, and it sort of depends on how many scoops.
Does a pretender need more scoops?
It's really random. You put X number of scoops, and then you look in the mirror 2 hours later, and you're like, I guess I'm real.
Ah, I see.
Yeah. Or, oh, no, pretender still.
But that's the purpose of coffee, is to make you feel real.
Yeah, actually, you've just said it.
I mean, that's what most people use alcohol for. I have imposter syndrome, on this first date or whatever, but not if I drink enough.
My daughter took a sip of my coffee just yesterday and said, yuck, gross. And I said, here's the thing about coffee. People that want coffee to taste good are missing the entire point of it.
Coffee should be suffering.
Coffee staves off death. And so it should taste a little like death to remind us.
Homeopathy.
Yeah. Remind us of what is at stake here. You're drinking this because every day it keeps you going one more day.
You're like some sorceress who is like, shriveling. You're stealing the youth from others, right?
The coffee is just like
coffee should taste medicinal.
Makes my desiccated body fill back up with
the coffee being shriveled and dry, and you're like a little less shriveled and dry.
Exactly.
It's perfect. So I spent some time looking up the history of interesting pretenders, or actually not pretenders, a specific kind of pretender, the imposter. I thought that all pretenders were imposters and that all imposters were pretenders.
Uh-huh.
In fact, all imposters are, if they want a royal title, all imposters are pretenders to something. But not all, some pretenders are real. There are real Habsburgs are still pretenders.
Oh, yes.
Because they're claimants.
I'm the great pretender.
In 1318, for example, there's a long tradition of people appearing and declaring that they are the long-lost royal, which we don't have in America.
No.
Can you imagine somebody showing up and being like, I'm Calvin Coolidge, I should still be... It's because we have term limits.
I wonder this a lot, although there was a while there where JFK Jr. was about to appear, right? What was that all about?
Yeah.
But I do wonder, there are so many movie stars who, by all rights, should have had a lot of illegitimate children that we've never heard of. Mm-hmm. And those illegitimate children should now be middle-aged people who should be appearing on the scenes and saying, I'm Roddy McDowell's youngest son.
It could even be a bigger name to make this story better.
I
am Steve McQueen's.
Yeah, right. Where's Steve McQueen's like 7 illegitimate
look-alike children?
Because this was at a time when, sure, there was a little bit of birth control available, but, not every single Hollywood star was that responsible. And yet we almost never hear somebody step forward and say, I'm Roger Moore's unknown son, and I should be the new James Bond.
I guess occasionally there's rumors, right? Mm-hmm. Like that, what's his name? Michael Lindsay Hogg, who directed Let It Be.
I've met Michael Lindsay Hogg.
Right.
Online.
And his famous thing is that he looks exactly like Orson Welles and is always a little bit coy about where Orson Welles was 9 months before his birth.
Right. Famously, Frank Sinatra's son.
Right.
Yeah.
Who looks...
What's his butt?
Oh, you think he's Frank Sinatra's son?
He's clearly Frank Sinatra's son.
Ronan Farrow is not officially Frank Sinatra's son.
He couldn't be more Frank Sinatra's son.
The resemblance is certainly striking.
It is. And there seems to be, like, if you can overlap the calendars, kind of like Jeffrey Epstein's plane log, if you overlap it with where other people were that weekend, it seems plausible.
Our novelist friend Maria Semple at a party introduced me to someone who... she had already told me was clearly the son of a legendary 20th century figure, and he looks exactly like the legendary 20th century figure he has written about being the offspring of. And it's a Ronan Farrow-like experience where you're like, nope, I'm sold. I have no further questions. I don't have to say who it is, but imagine somebody at a party who looks exactly like, Princess Diana or something. And You'd be like, well, there's no question here.
So why are there not more pretenders in that sense of people stepping forward? Because with the DNA testing now, it feels like all that Anastasia, the 7 different Anastasias, it would be just a question of...
Very solvable.
Yeah, like just pull a Starbucks cup out of the trash and we'll know.
I think as we'll see in the story of the false Dmitrys, it requires an apparatus to manufacture a pretender. It's not enough for just somebody to emerge from a dusty corner of a medieval city and say, do you know who I am?
You're talking about an apparatus of misinformation or an apparatus of information.
An apparatus of power.
I see.
Yeah. Like the person needs backing. If a wealthy oligarch had decided to convince us that a certain kid was Michael Jordan's son, and, also today there's fewer jobs that you can do without any legit, like important jobs that can be done without any skill or talent. Whereas in the olden days,
or maybe alternately,
influencer.
all jobs are increasingly being done by people.
Back in the
with
day,
no
there
talent.
was one, and it was king, and it was a pretty good job that you didn't really have to be good at. If today somebody says, I'm Michael Jordan's son, somebody's going to say, well, let's see a windmill dunk.
Right.
And if somebody says, I'm Steve McQueen's son, they're going to say, well, let's do a screen test.
Right.
No such issues in medieval times. You just needed a bunch of oligarchs to back up the right beggar.
Right.
In 1318, for example, an Englishman named John Dmitrys appeared on the scene to tell everyone that he was actually King Edward II, believed long dead.
Was he the right age to be King Edward II?
He was roughly the right age. His story, which is maybe he chose an unlikely story in order to sound more plausible,
Right.
was that his ear had been bitten off by a pig.
Right.
As an infant.
Sure, that seems likely.
And of course,
the heir apparent would be left
as often happens,
alone with a pig.
By a negligent nursemaid. The case of the negligent nursemaid. So Perry Mason never solved this one. He said, yeah, my ear got bitten off. And then nobody ever was like, well, we can't have a one-eared king. So I was sent to be raised in obscurity while a duplicate child was raised as King Edward II, born, lived, and died. And I'm here to tell you that guy was fake. And I, the one-eared John Dmitrys, am the actual Edward II.
Does it seem to you, with the knowledge that you have of 13th century politics, that a one-eared little boy would not qualify to be king? Like, oh, this kid had his ear bit off. Let's put him on a barge. And
certainly when you see paintings of the Bourbon kings of Spain, you're not like, well, boy.
They're so beautiful.
Clearly you have to be physical perfection to sit on a European throne.
And yet, when you hear it, you go, oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, sure.
Pretty much all these stories end the same way, with a beheading.
Yeah.
This one's an exception because it has a gallows at the end. Well, let's just mix it up a little.
Okay.
John Dmitrys is captured, put on trial. He finally confesses that no, he in fact is not King Edward II, but it wasn't my fault. The devil possessed my cat and made me pretend to be Edward II.
No, surely not.
If a court-appointed lawyer has heard it once, they've heard it 1,000 times. The devil possessed my cat and made me pretend to be Edward II.
Come on.
Everybody believed this was plausible. So as a result, when they hanged Dmitrys, they also hanged the cat.
Okay.
Trigger warning.
Okay.
For pet lovers.
Okay. They hanged the cat. Why is this not a tapestry that I not only have seen, but have hanging here?
It's just the Son of Sam story, right? Like we still have that today. Well, you can't prosecute me. My dog told me to do this.
Yeah.
So John Dmitrys, the new patron saint of Omnibus. I guess maybe when you have people on guest hosts on the show that like don't really kill it, you can give them the John Dmitrys Award, and it's a guy with a bitten off ear, a guy with like a Holyfield style bite out of his ear.
I'm glad that you are still very engaged in the intellectual property of Omnibus.
I'm still overflowing with ideas because they won't let me do any of this on Jeopardy. Around the same time in Germany, a guy named Tila Kolop, alternately that and a more German-sounding name. I don't know why he has to sound like...
Tila Kolop.
He has to sound like a Czech avant-garde composer, but he's also Diedrich Hofschauer or something. He shows up and tells everyone, hey guys, I'm Frederick II.
Really?
Frederick II was the Holy Roman Emperor who was kind of held to be the epitome of the European king. And in fact, he was the original source of the German king under the mountain who will come back and save us myth before it got projected back onto Barbarossa. That's how much people missed Frederick II when he was gone. The problem was Frederick II had died 34 years ago. So this story, not super plausible.
Yeah.
When Tila/Diedrich tries this out in the city of Cologne, he does not have an apparatus behind him and is in fact dunked in a sewer by a jeering crowd, which is really what we should have done to the fake JFK Jr.
Boy, if we
dunked all the QAnon guys in a sewer.
The thing is, in a democracy, you don't want to encourage people to dunk people in sewers.
No.
It seems like a little bit of mob rule, even though it's very tempting to say we should have a way that people can get dunked in sewers.
This one seems better than other kinds of vigilante justice.
I certainly have a short list of people. Well, I have a pretty long list of people that I want to bury in the desert in a shipping container where I subtly change the geometry of the walls every night when they're asleep.
Oh, they're still alive.
Oh, yeah, they're living down there. It's kind of an apartment.
You're not doing the thing where their head is sticking out and there's ants, for example.
No, it's more of like a Plato's cave situation where I put a little bit of hallucinogen in their water and then just sort of like every night, like take their shoes and then put new shoes back that are a half size too small, kind of Amelie style, but where they're slowly driven insane by my weird 60s CIA.
You should have announced this
stuff
before you asked for a guest host rotation. I feel like people are going to be delighted to spend time with you.
Oh, well,
now that they know about your enemies list and your
there are a lot of people that
psychological
already know
warfare
about this plan. This is maybe the first time I've announced it to an omnibus audience, but since we're transitioning to a new version of the show, futurelings need to get to know the whole me.
They need to get to know the Roderick on the Line stories that somehow I never elicited.
That's right. That's right. There's a million stories in the Naked City, Ken. Ken, you and I both have talked at length about Miracle Made sheets, and we've admired how they're crafted with NASA-inspired silver-infused fabrics. We know they help regulate your body temperature, whether you're a hot sleeper or a cold sleeper. It doesn't matter. These sheets keep you in the comfort zone all night. Ken, we have said these words, but I think there are listeners who probably have yet to purchase Miracle Made sheets, and I just want to remind them that Miracle Made sheets silver-infused technology not only keeps you warm in winter and cool in summer, but they stay cleaner and fresher up to 3 times longer than regular sheets, which means fewer odors, fewer wash cycles, and way less laundry. So what I want those listeners who have yet to pull the trigger on their Miracle Made sheets to do as we have done and go to trymiracle.com/omnibus to try Miracle Made sheets today. And this is marvelous. If you have been on the fence this entire time, get off the fence and get into some Miracle Made sheets for 40% off when you use the promo code OMNIBUS. And you'll get an extra 20% off and a 3-piece towel set just for using the promo code OMNIBUS. And there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. Christmas is coming, and these make an amazing gift. So there's really no risk. That's trymiracle.com/omnibus with the code OMNIBUS at checkout. Thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode. Ken, you know I love HelloFresh. You know it helps feed my family. In fact, earlier tonight, I had HelloFresh for dinner, and we all did. My whole little clan sat around the table because we get the big box of HelloFresh. It's enough to feed 3 of us. But what's amazing, I'm here to sing HelloFresh's praises because I'm sitting here with a full tummy from it. But HelloFresh has doubled its menu now for now with 100 options each week, Mark Miles. Now with 100 options each week, including new seasonal dishes and recipes from around the world. So we're digging into bigger portions that's going to keep my entire family, not fat and happy, healthy and happy, because HelloFresh has a healthier menu filled with high protein and veggie packed recipes that help you eat greener and have all your veggies in your meal. And that's one thing. Tonight, we kind of, we skipped one of the veggie courses, and now I'm regretting that we did because I need more veggies in my life. And HelloFresh is there with the veggies lined up and ready to roll. You can get steak and seafood recipes for no extra cost. There's 3 times more seafood on the menu now. And as we know, the right kind of seafood is heart smart and actually brain smart too. Although I'm not making any claims about HelloFresh seafood being good for your brain, just so we know. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to feel as good as I do sitting down to a hearty HelloFresh meal. The way to do it, and I'm going to read the line now, but I do sincerely believe this. The best way to cook just got better. Go to HelloFresh.com/omnibus10FM now to get 10 free meals. That's what the 10 FM means. 10 free meals and a free item for life. That's 1 per box with an active subscription, 1 free item per box. Free meals applied as discount on the first box, which new subscribers only, and varies by plan. But that's HelloFresh.com/omnibus10FM to get 10 free meals and a free item for life. Omnibus 10 FM.
Tila Kolop had better luck after fishing himself out of the sewer. He headed for the city of Neuss, and for whatever reason,
Noise.
people were like, Neuss. That's what everyone said there. No, they did.
They bought it.
They welcomed him to the degree that he was kind of able to become a local power broker and had, wax royal seals printed in his honor, and Venetian emissaries would come to him and were told, "Oh yeah, this guy was Frederick II, and now he's running Neuss."
So how did this benefit the citizens of Neuss to decide that this was their guy?
Well, I think the record is silent about what specifically, and presumably he had bathed after the sewer.
Okay.
So they weren't putting up with the smell, right, at least. But in all these stories, you have to assume that it's easy to pretend that they're just some Harold Hill style grifter coming to town. And maybe there is a degree of that in a lot of these stories. But when the ones that are better documented, you can see that they don't work without some local wealthy landowner deciding, hey, this is our guy to get what we want out of we don't like the current power structure. The current council won't let me, add a wing on my castle. We need to get a new guy in here. Hey, look, Frederick II.
And do you feel like in this case, it's it's a situation where the new Frederick II has a plan that the Duke likes, or is he a puppet of the Duke?
I think generally he's a puppet of the Duke. We'll see what happens when one of these guys has an agenda.
Okay.
It does not go well because it's basically the movie Dave. Do you remember the movie Dave, John?
I remember there being a movie Dave.
Can you reconstruct for me a movie called Dave? A gentle 90s Ivan Reitman comedy called Dave.
There was a guy, let's see, the president.
Yes.
Died or something, and
close. He's in a coma.
There was like a doofy goofus that looked like him.
A doofy goofus.
And so a
goofy doofus.
They took old doofy the goofus, and they put him in a suit, and they said, "Listen, you're the president now, so don't mess it up." And then hijinks ensued.
That's basically it.
Yeah, where he was like, "Oh, derp," and kept walking into the walls, and they're like, "Mr. President."
It's not like a being there scenario where he's walking into the walls. Okay. He's actually a good-natured populist who wants to do good.
Oh, and then he becomes like a problem for everybody because he's like,
basically I think the scheming chief of staff wants to replace him. There's a whole power structure that knows about the switcheroo and does not like it when this guy is like, hey,
why don't we just forgive everybody's student loans?
I think we should have a jobs program. And they're like, who the heck are you?
It's one of these. It's like a West Wing style liberal democratic fantasy where you actually get the president that we all desperately want instead of the compromised.
And it has an advantage over even like electing a fantasy figure, a Martin Sheen or a Michael Douglas style, because you can actually just take the evil president and make him good overnight because he's in a coma. That's the promise of Dave.
Right.
You just have to replace Trump with a lookalike. When he dies on the golf course, you replace him with a lookalike who actually does want, to decrease wealth inequality.
And let me guess, in the movie Dave, do some of his like meanie pants advisors gradually come to see the wisdom of his super good
we're getting into
populism?
deep Dave lore.
Yeah.
But yes, we are introduced to two meanie pants advisors, one of whom stays our villain, and one of whom Frank Langella, and one of whom Kevin Dunn comes around.
Because I feel like whenever you fantasize, not to say that you ever do this, but whenever one fantasizes about occupying the body of a Hitler or a Trump, and
is this something you do?
I mean,
I don't not.
But if you were like, for instance, given the power to go into the body of Hitler,
you're quantum leaping into Hitler. Wow.
In August of 1938.
You have a month in mind in which you're going to quantum leap into Hitler.
And then you have all of Hitler's power and support base.
Do you say, oh boy, like Scott Bakula?
And you go, oh boy.
Ach boy.
And then you're able to say, you know what? I just had a better idea.
I know you guys all want to invade Poland.
And they're like,
3 words, universal basic income.
And instead of all the bad things, you just take all that, and then you're like a year later, you blink out, and then bad Hitler's back, except he's
like,
living.
my cabinet is half Jewish?
Yeah, it's like basically the plot of 9 to 5, where Hitler stops being handcuffed to the bed, and he comes back, and like there's like split work schedules, and
I'm going to quantum leap into Dabney Coleman.
Yeah,
and just make that a better office.
That's it.
Nobody has to get handcuffed. In the end, our friend Tila does not last. I think he tries to expand his power base outside of Neuss, but when he moves into another city, that's the city the Habsburgs are already running.
Oh, see, they don't mess around.
And it's very early on. They're not like the Habsburgs, capital T yet. They're just some local dukes.
Yeah, but this is how they get there, right?
Yeah, they shut him down. He gets burned at the stake by the Habsburgs.
Those Habsburgs.
Here's an example of a case where it's clearly figureheads and not grifters. We all know if we jump ahead in time 100 years, you know the story of Richard III killing the princes in the Tower, right? The Tower of London.
Right. One of the great attractions of the Tower of London when you go there.
The kids are there?
No, they waltz you around and they're like, guess who died here? Guess who died over here?
Those two kids.
Guess who was here?
In the decades following, there were two different occasions where, the War of the Roses ends with the Tudors in power. Henry VII is now on the English throne. But in the following decades, two different high-profile pretenders turn up to challenge Henry Tudor, both of whom claiming to be princes in the Tower.
That somehow survived.
And their names are like, I don't know if they're like Sherlock Holmes characters or something, or maybe
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Evelyn White. It's like Perkin Warbeck and Lambert Simnel both turn up at different times, claiming to be the princes in the Tower. So, hey, does anybody remember the Yorks? We don't want the Tudors, right? Like, yeah, we want the Yorks back. Yeah, let's get the Yorks back.
And they didn't, but it's not coordinated. They didn't show up together.
No, and they don't, and they both pretend to be the same one of the princes at different times. And I think with Lambert Simnel, his handlers immediately realize he is like at least 4 or 5 years off in age. So they say, actually, what if you're the Earl of Warwick? I think he's a power figure, a dead power figure that you could more closely resemble.
Dead power figures. It's one of my favorite toys from
Mattel.
80s.
Dead power figures. Ironically, after claiming to be one of the princes in the Tower, Perkin Warbeck ends up in the Tower.
No, lol.
So now he's a prince in the Tower.
The Tower is such a laugh line.
Then he gets beheaded. The shocking thing about Lambert Simnel, who gave up his princes in the Tower shtick to become the fake Earl of Warwick.
He becomes the real Earl of Warwick?
Yeah. He's still in the Tower today. No, he's actually pardoned in an act of mercy. Henry VII pardons him and hires him as a spit turner in the castle.
A spit turner?
That's a good gig back then, right?
Pretty good. You get to kind of put your finger out and get some drippings.
You can switch. It can't be that hard because you switch arms, right? And
Right.
I don't know how long a spit turning shift is, but I'm guessing you get cycled out every couple hours.
It does feel a little bit like going from being the bar manager to the busboy, though.
I mean, maybe that's it. Maybe Henry VII is like, I won't kill you, but
he's
here's,
just going to humiliate him.
yeah, you're going to be in the scullery from now on.
Right, right.
But I think dripping access is like an underappreciated perk.
I mean, in the cold months, being next to the fire.
To the stove, right? Mm-hmm. I think we're going to have medievalists write in and be like, actually, spit turner was the worst job, and here's why. So please,
medievalists.
please send those. I will be gone by that time from Omnibus. Please send those notes to John Roderick at.
Anybody that wants to come on the show and enter Spit Turner.
Do a full hour on spit turners.
Into the omnibus or medieval, the ranks of medieval house staff. That'd be a great show.
Yeah, I think it would actually.
Yeah, that's right.
For whatever reason, all the craziest stories of this kind, of these grifter / puppets who show up pretending to be a dead man, tend to be in Russia.
Huh.
They tend to be behind the whatever mountains make Russia, behind the Caucasus.
You mean Russia, the great friend of the United States? Russia, whose best interests always coincide with America's best interest?
Why? Yeah, knowing what you do about Russia, why do you think Russia is always the land of the craziest of these royal pretenders? Like, what is it about? It's a turbulent society, I guess.
Yeah.
So you got more turnover.
I mean, they are the place through which marched everyone coming to the West from over there,
I guess.
which is to say,
And in what way?
everyone.
I'm gonna prompt you to finish that thought and tell me how that relates to producing a lot of royal grifters.
I don't know. They stomped. Every successive invading group stomped down all the grass. So the people that were sort of standing around there, their hats made out of birch bark, got trampled, I think, a lot. Or maybe they're the ones that just couldn't keep going.
There's not enough grass for there to be long-lived royals?
Maybe the Russ are just the people that got tired and sat down, kind of like the occupants of Indiana.
And so they lose interest quickly in being king?
Yeah, that might be it. I mean, why are the people in Indiana like they are? It's because
they stopped.
They stopped. That's right.
I mean, if a lack of grass is enough to make that happen, you'd think that every French park would be full of lines of trees over dirt. That's what the French love.
Man, we're laying out some burns today.
So if you want to guest host an omnibus about why it's actually good that French parks are just packed dirt.
Yeah, why don't French parks have more stuff that isn't dog poo?
And dirt. I mean, for whatever reason, turbulent Russia tends to lend itself not just to this kind of abrupt leadership change in the manner of a South American military dictatorship, but
you're going to stop short of saying that it's something in the Slavic character.
Well, I don't know. I mean, Putin's done a pretty good job holding on.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's the thing. They all do a good job holding on if all of their enemies go into the sewer.
I guess that's the thing. If you like a strong man, then that system is vulnerable. Because all it takes is one weak heir or one leader in bad health, and it can all come crashing down.
Or one crazy monk.
Like there were enough. Regicide was common enough in the days of Tsarist Russia that famously in 1801, when Alexander I took the throne, it was because the guy who had just killed his parent, his dad, this guy had just killed the Tsar.
And then slipped in the blood.
Well, no, stomps into Alexander's room with bloody footsteps, wakes him up and says, "Time to grow up. Go and rule."
Whoa.
And stomps out. Like that's how you break the news of, "Hey, I just killed your dad."
Whoa. Whose team was he on? It seems weird that he wouldn't either be like, "Now I'm the Tsar," or have somebody that was already in league with him.
I mean, I looked up this story, and Alexander I is not you want to imagine a cowering child. In fact, Alexander I is 24 in this story.
Right.
So it could just be like,
ready.
"Hey, you seem like a weakling." As we'll see, a lot of these stories have an indoor kid who the palace councils have kind of ID'd as the right guy on the throne because he's not going to kick up a fuss.
Right.
And that's what happened, in fact, in 1584 when Ivan the Terrible died. Which is always good when somebody with the terrible as an epithet dies. I feel like it's going to be exciting.
Let me ask you, where do you fall on the terrible? Do you feel like Ivan the Terrible was terrible, or do you think he was a misunderstood genius?
I mean, first of all, even people coining the name are just saying it's complimentary.
Yeah, it's great.
He inspires terror.
Right.
Yeah.
He's Mr. Big.
His royal greatness is so good. I don't think he would mind being called the Terrible.
When you look back on his record, do you feel like he got more done than he terrorized?
I'm assuming he's one of these guys where there's revisionist pro Ivan the Terrible.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
for sure.
I think the story I'm about to tell is
Tsar of all Russia.
is kind of implicitly pro Ivan the Terrible, because we see what happens when he died. The oldest son he left behind living as heir was his son Fyodor, then who became Fyodor the First. And this guy it's unclear why, but he's unsuited to being Tsar.
I wonder.
He is physically weak.
Yeah. Did he have a shriveled hand?
He's not a shirtless guy on a horse the way Russia wants. He's not fighting bears. In fact, it's unclear whether he was mentally disabled or just kind of a quiet, simple guy. He's described as pious.
Oh yeah, that's how they.
And I realize
say.
maybe a lot of these simple-minded people, it's just like, he'll go hang out with the monks. That solves
The
our
Habsburgs
problem.
had this problem
guy.
too.
Right. Anyway, fundamentally an indoor kid and not suited to being Tsar, but luckily his beloved wife's brother is one Boris Godunov, who we know because of there's operas and stuff.
Yeah.
And the reason why we know Boris and not Fyodor is because Boris basically rules in his stead, becomes a power behind the throne. And when Fyodor dies, he doesn't leave behind any offspring. There's no son.
Isn't that the way?
He's too much of an indoor kid, even to cuddle his wife indoors and have kids.
It feels like for a lot of us, reproduction isn't easy.
For most of us,
right?
Some would argue it's what's led to the modern American problem. What's the matter with men? They can't figure out. Can't figure out their social lives.
Yeah, right. It used to be people had 13 kids and 6 of them survived, but that's still 6 more kids than most people have today. But it does feel like if you're a czar, you could figure it out. You could have kids.
Yeah.
What else are you doing all day?
This guy's maybe too pious to have kids.
Maybe.
We know he's physically weak. Maybe there are physical impediments.
Yeah, could be. But so many dynasties disappear because some heir has no kids. And it feels like even the person least interested in having kids.
Like, why aren't there like situation room meetings once a week?
Yeah.
About who this guy is boning or not.
Or even just like, let's just go steal a kid and call it the kid. Rather than have the dukedom disappear, can't we just gin up a kid?
I mean, maybe that's what leads to a lot of these grifters and puppets we're going to hear about here, is that it just seems like such an, in the same way that we're like, Trump, we're in the bad universe, if one state had gone the other way,
what if Al Gore had actually won?
If Mitch McConnell had actually impeached after January, all these little turning point moments.
Right.
Maybe all these people who are like, if that kid had just had a son, they're like, well, that's easy to solve.
Yeah.
Let's produce a son.
Yeah.
In this case, the Rurik dynasty has ruled Russia since before it was Russia. Like they go back to 862 when it was the Kievan Rus, right?
Yeah.
But Fyodor the First not having a kid ends the Rurik reign after 722 years, if I'm doing the math right.
There are no czars throughout this period, right? They're all just archdukes or...
I think Ivan the Terrible.
Ivan the Terrible was the first czar of all Russia.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
Instead of like the Grand Prince or whatever.
I mean, there's going to be somebody in the story calling himself Emperor of Russia, even though he's, 100 years before Peter the Great. So I don't know how blurry the dividing lines are. But yes, the Ruriks predate the idea of having a tsar. Now, Ivan had a younger brother, one Dmitry Ivanovich. And this is kind of a thing we love at Omnibus. He was the second son of Ivan the Terrible, called Dmitry Ivanovich. It was the kind of thing where a couple loses a child and then names a subsequent child the name of the lost child.
Right.
A thing that does not happen anymore.
No, but that makes it very hard to do genealogy sometimes.
It makes it very confusing. Sorry to genealogists, there are so many Dmitrys in this story.
There's Ken Jennings born in 1804, and then Ken Jennings born in 1807,
And
one of them is the other one's father?
I'm my own grandpa?
Yeah, that's what it is.
In this case, the earlier Dmitry Ivanovich had died as an infant. I believe it's a boat wreck on the way to a monastery. It's a very exciting. We love a boat wreck here at Omnibus.
Yeah, we do.
And he was pulled out of his nursemaid's hands into the roiling water, but at least she didn't have let a pig bite his ear.
Wait, he literally went into the Volga, is what you're saying?
Yeah, it's not the Volga, but it's some other equivalent Russian river.
The Don.
Sure. It's actually a less famous one that I cannot think of right now. How about that?
Yeah.
If you want to do a show on this river, you can guest host Omnibus and correctly identify the river in which the young original Dmitry Ivanovich drowned. But it meant that years later, when Ivan the Terrible had, I believe, his fourth child, he named him Dmitry Ivanovich. But this kid is sent into exile at a very young age as Boris Godunov consolidates his power. He doesn't want more offspring of Ivan the Terrible just bopping around Moscow and environs.
Right.
And at age 9, he dies in an accident while playing, in that way that innocent princes in exile always die. He just happened to be playing John, and he got stabbed in the throat. We all hate when that happens. There is, in fact, historians are divided on what actually happened here. Two theories. One is that the story was that he was playing a game called Svaika. Russian kids are just built different. They will play a game called Svaika where they will take a marlin spike, like kind of this nautical dagger.
Yeah.
The kind you use to
a marlin spike.
Pick apart knots. Is that? I don't know. Whatever. What do sailors do with a thing?
Well, they spiked marlins.
Well,
it's in the name.
Clearly, that's the etymology. I don't think that's what it's doing most of the time. It's probably just a hard-bitten guy using it for some pipe tobacco or something.
It's some kind of rope thing.
You're doing rope things with it. But the Russians had a game where they would take a similar dagger and try to throw it into a chalk circle on the ground. Like, they don't have marbles, they have knives.
Yeah.
And the story went that the second Dmitry Ivanovich, the youngest child of Ivan the Terrible, was epileptic and was holding the knife up in such a way that it was a terrible time to have an epileptic seizure.
Oh, boy.
And bap, into his throat it goes.
Does this feel likely?
I mean, not to me. It's been pointed out by more recent historians that epileptic seizures often include slack, like the palms go tight.
Yeah.
In which case you would drop
the thing you were tight, holding.
Not in tight a grip, tight as a palm, not
boom.
As a fist.
Yeah.
So you would drop the marlin spike you were playing Svaika with. There's a scenario where his body seizes up and he falls onto the knife.
Yeah.
That's about all we can think of today. Obviously, Occam's marlin spike here would say that he was killed by order of Boris Godunov, who did not want a real son of Ivan the Terrible hanging around. Even if Fyodor turns out to be terrible, you don't want a cool younger kid. The argument against this, by the way, is that Dmitry would have had a very weak claim to the throne because his mother, I have it here somewhere, Maria Nagaya, was Ivan's final wife.
Ivan the Terrible had 6 wives,
yes,
right?
I'm looking at the list, and she's either, in different tellings, she's either 6 or 7.
7?
Yeah, there's as many as, a Larry King-like number of wives. And so he wouldn't have had much of a claim anyway, because
there were some kids above him.
Yeah, and even if there's no kids above him, whatever the rules of succession are, only allow for the first 3 wives.
And then there's uncles
to have royal claim, and then everybody after that is asterisk. Yeah, we need uncles and dukes after that point. So that's how Dmitry dies. Those are the 2 theories. But what these theories presuppose is that he died playing
with a marlin spike.
With a marlin spike. And what this omnibus presupposes is that what if he didn't?
What if he didn't?
What if he were still alive?
But what if he didn't?
What if he didn't? Let's see, by the year 1600, Boris Godunov has now named himself Tsar by virtue of the Ruriks dying, and he being the powerful in-law who has, a lot of swing in the palace, control over the boyars, the Russian elite, nobles.
But he is or isn't a blood...
He's an in-law of the Ruriks. He was Ivan's son's brother-in-law.
Got it. So not really a czar in the traditional sense.
So if a Rurik were to appear at a time when Boris was culturally or politically weak, even though he's czar, it might be tempting.
Yeah.
It might be tempting. And this is the kind of thing that his enemies know. And in Poland, around the year 1600, a Dmitry emerges who says basically, that wasn't me who died.
How old is this Dmitry at the time?
This Dmitry is about the right age. It's hard to pin down, when you look at what his age would be, they just claim that he has Dmitry Ivanovich's dates, that he's about 18. In fact, we don't know because
he could be anything.
He doesn't have a good origin story. And I believe in the opera, in Boris Godunov, a real guy, Prince Adam, not the He-Man character, but a Polish nobleman, is flogging his valet who has drawn his bath wrong. And his valet says, well, you wouldn't do this if you knew who I was. And Prince Adam, intrigued, says, oh, yeah? Who are you, whoreson? And he says, well, I'm actually Dmitry. I didn't actually stab myself in the throat while playing Spica. And Prince Adam's like, what?
And the idea was that he was exiled because why?
Well, he doesn't really have that great a story. We have to presuppose that. I mean, it's easy to retcon what his story would be.
Yeah.
He's already been exiled within Russia to keep him away from Godunov's claim to the throne.
And now, in order to survive, he had to leave Russia.
Yeah, he had to leave. That's why he's out on the Polish-Lithuanian border. In reality, there's not a lot of historians today sticking up for, this guy was fake. It's called The False Dmitry by historical consensus today, because it's clear that whatever he was not the reincarnation of a guy stabbed in the throat with a knife.
This is False Dmitry number 1. Ken, my journey with doctors and medicine, it's a checkered journey, but I think that's true for a lot of people my age. I haven't yet become somebody that talks to my doctor every day, thank goodness, but I'm no longer the person I was for a couple of decades who never saw a doctor at all. I'm in the middle ground now where I want to know more about my health. I want to monitor my health and manage my health in a way that, hopefully will allow me to live a little bit longer than my 57 years that I've toughed it out through. And I have just recently signed up for Function Health, which is like this comprehensive system. It's a health platform that gives you data about your health that most people never get. And then through that data, you get insights that help you do something about your health. Inside Function, you get access to test over 100 biomarkers, from hormones to toxins to markers of heart health, inflammation, stress. For an additional fee, you can get MRI and chest CAT scans, all tracked in one secure place over time. Gives you basically a 360-degree view to better see what's happening in your body. I'm looking for this kind of knowledge because I've got a lot of comorbidities, a lot of things going on right now, and an overall holistic health is what I'm aspiring to. And how are you going to get that unless you start knowing all the pieces that are in play? Real preparation is what I'm looking for, and it starts with a knowledge of what's inside my body. Do I have enough vitamin D? Do I have enough zinc? Do I have high sensitivity C-reactive proteins? I don't even know what half of these things are, but now I have access to those tests. And as I get deeper and deeper into Function, I'm going to report to you my progress in learning more and more about my body. So let me keep you abreast of the tests offered by Function that I find informative and illuminating. And let me get back to you on that. But for now, remember, Function is a near 360-degree view to see what's happening in your body. And the first 1,000 listeners who sign up for Function through this ad get a $100 credit toward their membership. So visit www.functionhealth.com/omnibus and use the gift code Omnibus100 at sign-up to own your health and get a $100 credit. Thanks, Function.
Spoilers, but yes, this is a false. I guess we've already called the show The False Dmitrys, plural.
That was what tipped me off.
And we've only introduced 2 real Dmitrys and now 1 spurious Dmitry. This guy may have been the son of a past Polish king.
Oh, so he might have?
There appears to be some evidence that he's got royal blood.
That at least being a valet for a mean duke wasn't the right.
The valet story is from an opera. I don't think the valet story is well attested.
Got it.
There's a lot of, because this story is so irresistible, there's a lot of subsequent retellings, and I did not go to the trouble to see which of these retellings are actually 17th century.
That comports with the Omnibus Project entirely.
Yeah,
I mean, that could be a thing.
I don't have infinite time, John. But it seems like not. A common story is that he is some local disgraced noble who can be put up to this plausibly because he'll have the manners of a, you can't just pull any beggar off the street and be like, he's Dmitry, because he'll use all the wrong verb tenses and eat his borscht with the wrong spoon.
Right.
Boris Godunov, when he hears about this guy amassing power outside his borders, immediately spreads a cover story that this guy, a very specific cover story that we don't know the source of, that he's in fact a runaway monk named Grigory Otrepyov.
He just invents this out of whole cloth, or that's
all we got today. At the time, maybe there was some reason why this is the story. Maybe he did track down some Grigory Otrepyov who matches who disappeared, or maybe he knows this Grigory Otrepyov has bad local reputation.
But this feels like really good, sort of a good lesson for contemporary damage control people who are like,
how so?
All right, well, tomorrow there's going to be a news item where someone accuses you of embezzling $450 million from this company, but
what if we get out in front of that?
We're going to tell everybody that he's
a runaway monk.
A runaway monk.
And you don't want to trust a runaway monk.
No, like we're just going to go way over the top.
It's funny because monk might be the most trustworthy occupation.
And yet,
like if you want to learn kung fu, if you want to get a manuscript, and yet if a monk just runs away once, suddenly he's like the least reputable guy.
Think about think about the kind of Rumspringa that a monk can get up to in 2 days.
I think it's just because we don't trust runaway trains. We don't like runaway brides.
Correct.
A runaway anything just makes it immediately suspect.
Yeah, but a runaway monk.
Even more so. The main thing about a monk is that they don't run away.
There it is.
If I ask you, John, where is a monk? What do you say?
In a monastery.
In a monastery.
It's the defining characteristic of a monk.
There's one place where there's supposed to be monks.
Maybe teaching high school at a Dominican school.
Maybe basketball coach.
Okay.
Basketball coach for Jesuits.
Right.
Maybe.
But you're for sure right. And so the question is the monk running away from something or to something? Neither thing in the definition of a monk.
Neither thing godly, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Something about a runaway monk is scandalous.
Yeah. Either something happened in the monastery, which we don't want to think about, or something's pulling him from the monastery. Also
suspicious.
Don't want to think about it.
And Boris may just know that, he just has to say, maybe the important thing is this guy is not Dmitry. Here's a very specific identity for him. The way that soap operas, when you find out that guy is not actually...
It was his twin.
That's not Robert Scorpio with plastic surgery.
Yeah.
They have to invent some crazy new thing he is. And it's always specific. It's not just like, well, that's some drifter. He's gone now. Although Dallas, I remember, did try that once with a fake Jock Ewing. And it really pretty much was like, yeah, he's a drifter. He's gone now.
He's a drifter. He's gone now.
Today, instead of runaway monks, we have drifters.
Yeah, we don't have enough of those either.
The main thing you want to say about a drifter, he's gone now.
He's gone now.
Not our problem.
Right? There was a time when I felt like maybe drifter was the best I could hope for.
Job description wise?
Yeah. I mean, before I got admitted on the basis of some kind of program for the intellectually challenged, there was a while there where I was like, I don't know, drifter? Hobo? Which one sounds better?
Do you think you could get drifter on a passport today?
No.
Really?
No, they're going to keep you from getting a passport for so many reasons that didn't used to exist.
It's pretty bad now. But I just mean in general. Does the State Department care enough to be like, we're going to return this application because we think this guy's being a little bit arch in his, because I just put author or whatever, and nobody fact checks it. Nobody's like, well, let's go to his Library of Congress file.
Right. Well, as far as you know, they don't. But if they did, they would find you did have a library. If I put author, they might go, author of what?
My theory is nobody's researching this.
And if I said, oh, I misspelled Arthur, they'd say, Arthur of what?
I know this firsthand from Jeopardy, where we let people tell whatever story they want about themselves.
Right. Have you ever had somebody that was just bald-faced lying?
Probably.
Yeah, I bet.
And you know why I don't know? Because we don't fact check those stories.
Nobody cares.
Nobody's going to be like, wait, you've had 6 Siamese tigerfish on loan to the Baltimore Aquarium? Yeah, guess what? We do not call the Baltimore Aquarium.
I wonder, with today's State Department, it seems like every department of the U.S. government now is completely unhinged and unmanaged. If I were signing up for a new passport right now, I might put Drifter. Just see what happens.
I mean, the main thing they're going to be checking for is if your gender marker has changed.
Right, or if I have a name that's even remotely ethnic, which mine isn't.
That's right.
Yeah.
Our government apparatus now has two purposes, and it's sticking it to trans people and sticking it to immigrants and non-white people.
Right, although only immigrants from some countries.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, if they were like, "Are you an illegal immigrant from Wales?" I'd be like, "What do you mean what do you mean illegal?"
Yeah.
And they'd be like, "You're right.
That's right.
Welcome to town."
I forgot. You're white. It's some Irish cop from the 1910s. Oh, I forgot. You're so white. Boris is apparently threatened enough by this guy amassing power outside his borders that he sends assassins. A team of assassins tries to sneak into his bedchambers and knife him by night. And apparently the story goes that they get in and the knifing is only foiled when the third guy, the guy who was sent to get a horse to get out of there for their escape, woke up a guard, and that foiled the stabbing.
Oh.
So we got good assassins doing the stabbing, and then they, whoever draw the short straw to go get the horses
is the guy that was like
screwed up in the stables.
He's the one out front in the getaway car who's like trying to tune the radio, and some beat cop comes over
and he doesn't notice. It's the clip where the getaway driver is just like bopping along to the radio while behind them police cars are pulling up.
Right. Cop on a horse. Well, so
in this case, it was some dumb Kevin who was the third guy on the sting, and they gave him the assignment they thought he couldn't mess up.
How much? What are the relationships between Poland, Lithuania, and Russia at this time?
At the time, Poland and Lithuania are in some kind of confederation, I believe.
Yes, that's right.
And
the Archduchy,
and they are a competing power,
and so that's why Dmitry is.
He's politically very useful.
Yes, I see.
Because they could plant a pro-Polish Lithuanian guy on the Russian throne, on the Iron Throne. You can really see why history nerds liked these George R. R. Martin books before fantasy nerds did.
For sure.
Because this is all stuff that really happened, just with some names made less plausible.
Before all that
and
stuff
dragons.
About the White Walkers started filtering in, where you're like, really, did we need all that?
What if it didn't have zombies?
Yeah.
What if it was just intrigue? So the Polish-Lithuanian army falls in line behind the false Dmitry, because keep in mind, they're not calling him the false Dmitry. That would be very insulting. Hey, false Dmitry, good job with the stabbing. We're thinking of marching east.
The thing is, it'd be even more insulting to the Russians, where it's like, yeah, we're behind the false Dmitry. How do you like that? That's how much we value you.
Well, the funny thing is, behind closed doors, he is absolutely the false Dmitry.
Yeah.
Nobody is like, hey, if this guy's real, maybe we should give this a shot. If this guy's real, nobody is saying if this guy's real, apparently.
Right.
But it doesn't matter. Suddenly he has 3,500 Polish and Lithuanians, the soldiers behind him. Then the Cossacks join. These people of southern Russia are opposed to the current regime. And they're like, well, we like
long sleeves. The long sleeves, we call them.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Did you think of calling your band the Long Sleeves?
No, it's a good name, though.
But you'd always have to have like long sleeve polos on stage.
Yeah,
that would be your thing.
Well, no, you don't have to
like
be.
The Feelies
you don't have to be okay go about it. You can do whatever you want.
And now suddenly, he's got Cossacks and Poles, and now the boyars, the noblemen, they're interested.
Mm-hmm.
They're interested for the reasons why in any era rich people are interested in a change in power. Do you want to guess?
Yeah. More power for them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They think they're paying too many taxes. And they're like, it's the Jamie Dimon thing. It's like, well, you know what? We worked with Biden and America was very stable. But what if we could pay less corporate income tax with this other guy?
Here's something we have determined in our many years of doing the Omnibus Project. If there's one thing that is true across time, it is that rich people are always paying so much tax. It's the
main thing they talk about.
Yeah.
They're always just talking about it.
And it's always so unfair.
But you know what? I don't want to be like, no, that I'm a corrupt billionaire.
Yeah, but here's true. You are starting to get over the line of rich where you're going to be like, blah, blah, blah.
But here's what happens. As I have not actually. I'm like, okay. I'm still the Trotskyite game show host.
Sure.
But as your income goes up dramatically, which has happened to me twice.
Yeah.
As your income goes up dramatically, your costs remain fixed.
Right.
Except for taxes.
Oh, it's the one thing
thing where you're like, hey, my apartment, I had a very nice apartment. The rent, it's still the same, but suddenly my income went up 10 times and so did my taxes.
Yeah, but you're the rare guy whose income has gone up 10 times who
and
didn't buy a boat.
That's right.
Yeah.
But here's what I'm saying. Even if you're Springsteen and you're immediately like, I'm going to get a new house and I'm getting a yacht.
Right. I don't think Springsteen has a yacht, but yeah, I'll take your note.
I think the reason why I said that subconsciously is because I heard a story from a friend about Bruce and Patty just showing up on Spielberg's yacht.
Oh, they don't have a yacht though. Please tell me that my I don't even care about Bruce Springsteen, but please tell me,
John, they've shut down the factory and I didn't buy a yacht. And I think all these people, it's true that they are buying more stuff.
Yeah.
But when you have super wealth, your spending cannot keep up.
Right.
Even though Bruce Springsteen is spending more money than me on Lake Como houses and stuff, he cannot spend commensurate with his earnings.
But what about the people that get solid gold toilets? That feels like a way to spend money for no reason.
But even those people, it's pennies compared to what they could have. Not because they're so awesome, but just because billionaires now have this insane amount of wealth that you can't even imagine.
Right. It's insane.
So taxes are the only thing that to them appears disproportionate and unfair.
Right.
Again, this is not to excuse them, but this is why
But I'm starting to hear you, and you're like, I don't know. I'm carrying all these sacks of gold, all this leprechaun gold up and down the stairs.
It's the thing I'm always saying. It's why I can't do Omnibus every week.
I know.
Somebody's got to carry all the leprechaun gold. It's like Mindy,
I left all this gold down here. I thought you were going to
She's like, Jorge's on vacation.
John, I'm sorry I can't come do Omnibus this week. I got to move all this gold.
Jorge's on vacation. So the boyars are stroking their chins. They're stroking their thumbs, a thing that no one has ever done. It's a Russian gesture of interest.
Stroking your thumb.
You know how when Russians are interested in something, they just start stroking their thumb? They're stroking their chins and they're like, we could work with this yokel.
That's so Dmitry.
And they're like, that's so Dmitry. And then and this probably would have come to nothing except Boris Godunov makes a classic blunder.
Oh.
He dies of a stroke.
Oh, oops.
Really, it's the oopsie that political leaders just can't come back from.
You had one job.
When you die from a stroke, it's kind of over, unless they prop you up Weekend at Bernie style, as the current administration is doing. And his problem is that he has a 16-year-old son named Fyodor, who is another indoor kid named Fyodor.
Oh, yeah.
And
now with even less claim to the throne.
Right. He's an in-law.
Yeah.
This should not be called the time of troubles. This should be called the time of indoor kids named Fyodor.
Yeah.
And Fyodor, by the way, is Theodore. And it just occurred to me that Dmitry, these false Dmitrys are called pseudo-Demetrius because we don't have a name. You always read Russian novels and there's like a Mitya or a Dmitry.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, well, the Alexeys are Alexes.
Yeah.
And the Fyodors are Theodores and the Pavels are Pauls.
Right.
Who the heck are the Dmitrys? It turns out there's a perfectly good Greek name, Demetrius, that we all know.
Demetrius, we all know.
We just don't give it to Anglophone kids.
No, when was the last time you met? Dmitry Martin is a comedian that has the name Dmitry.
And I assume he has some kind of Slavic background that makes that acceptable.
Almost certainly.
I met him at a party a couple months ago, and I did not say, hey, Dmitry.
You didn't ask him.
Hey, Dmitry, your name is suspect.
Yeah.
Your name's a little ethnic.
Yeah, what's going on?
Walk me through that.
What does it say on your passport?
But I think it's because Midsummer Night's Dream has a Demetrius. There's Demetrius and the Gladiators. It's a perfectly good classical name that we should bring back.
Dmitry.
I don't know what the English version of Dmitry is. How do you make it sound like a guy who could work with your dad?
Demi.
But that's a woman's name for us.
What if it was Demmy?
Demity. Demet. Yeah, it sounds like Dammit.
Hey, what's up, Demet?
Demet, that's good.
It's kind of Emmett, which is an Irish name.
It's a name we have.
Demet.
And it sounds like Dammit, which is not
macho.
A cool thing for a guy's name to sound like.
But it's one of those things where a teacher on the first day of school is going to look down at the list, and what are they going to say?
I think they'll still say Demet.
Demet instead of Demet?
You could make it, if it's two T's, it kind of looks like Demit. Demit Romney.
It's got to be Demet.
Demet.
I like Demet. What a cool name. Okay, let's just say it's Demet from now on.
If your name is Demet and you want to co-host an Omnibus, go to omnibusproject.com/guest. So we now have another indoor son named Fyodor on the throne, and he does not last.
And he's not old enough to be like a power hungry, power ready
He's
dude.
a teen.
Yeah.
I think he's 16 when Boris dies. And what that means is, I believe at this point, false Dmitrys, pseudo Dmitrys, is already on his way to Russia. And in fact, he enters Moscow without a shot being fired and takes the city because
In front of an army of Cossacks.
Yeah, because nobody is going to be, the army immediately defects to the more plausible guy. This guy's a Dmitry, for crying out loud.
Right.
All we have is an indoor kid in-law.
Right.
So this false Dmitry, despite being, as everybody well knows, a pseudo Demetrius, is crowned Tsar of all the Russias in 1605.
Wow.
And replaces Boris Godunov, a guy who's so famous there's operas named for him.
I am so psyched for Dmitry.
He did it. Don't get too psyched. He doesn't last.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Things are going good at first. He immediately, I think, digs up the real Dmitry and is like, nope, that clearly that wasn't me.
Like digs up his bones?
Yeah, like he orders to say, well, there's an imposter buried under here, so we can't have an imposter in consecrated ground here. Go dig up
I see.
the false Dmitry.
Throw his bones in the Volga.
And the real Dmitry's mom, Ivan the Terrible's last wife, is still alive. We can picture you can get a good name actress for this in a black veil.
Yeah.
This is a good part for
Isabella Rossellini.
This is a good part for Isabella Rossellini.
Yeah.
Well done. And Maria Nagaya is, let's say, compelled to confirm.
Oh, it's my boy.
That's him. That's him. He did it. He's back.
Otherwise, she would end up in the Volga River.
Yes, there are probably good political reasons I'm not saying if it's carrot or stick, but she has given good political reasons to make this judgment.
Because then she's back. Then she's the mother of the Tsar.
Oh, yeah. She's what was Jimmy Carter's mom's name? Lillian.
Yeah.
What was the last time the president had some surviving mom? I guess Clinton did, huh?
Yeah. Right?
It'd be funny if Mary Trump was still alive with that weird Tim Burton hair. just hanging out in the White House.
Why is it always
She's
the Southern
108.
presidents that have living moms?
Because Southern women have the most healthy diets,
there it is.
as we all know.
You just said it.
Do you know what keeps your heart ticking? Peach cobbler.
Yeah. Deep fried spam.
Deep fried peach cobbler is what keeps a Southern lady alive. Now the problem is this guy's from Poland, and so he decides he is not going to be a puppet, and he does the Dave thing. He's replaced, in the language of Dave, he has replaced President Bill Mitchell, and he's going to bring in Charles Grodin and institute some reforms of his own. And in another time, this might have worked because he kind of seems like a populist and a reformer.
Yeah.
He's like, you know what? We should be friendly to the Poles and the Lithuanians.
Yeah. Let's invite him in.
And he doesn't say it like I secretly am. In a thick Polish accent, he's like, we should be friendly to the Poles. He actually marries a Catholic woman because as part of his stated policy that the Orthodox Church we should modernize, that Catholics and Protestants should be allowed in the realm. Guess who does not take kindly to this?
The Orthodox.
The very powerful Orthodox Church. Even the boyars start to grumble about this. They find that they have a guy they can't control. And
that seems ill-advised. Why would he make that mistake? The Orthodox Church really rules the roost there, including the whole concept of being a czar. You're the Caesar of the Orthodox.
Well, he's been put on the throne by peasants and Cossacks.
Oh, I see.
So it's very natural and probably is closer to a peasant or Cossack than any Russian czar has been ever.
Got it.
So it's very natural for him to say, no, we should have good pro-peasant, pro-Cossack policies. And the boyars are like, we just want lower marginal tax rates. This is not this is not the deal we made with this guy.
Right.
He's less formal. In pictures of him, he doesn't have a beard. So he looks more modern he's 100 years before Peter the Great, but he looks like a modern Enlightenment dude.
Other than cutseling up to the Lithuanians, is he also like trying to be a statesman with the rest of Europe? Is he like friends with any Frenchies?
I don't know if he's outward looking enough. Like we know he's open to Protestants and Catholics. So in a world where he did stay on the throne, I think we would have seen like kind of a pro-European Russian czar before Peter the Great.
Right.
In fact, as I've kind of just given away, that does not happen. He's made enemies on all sides. The church starts to spread rumors that he's a gambler, that he's a Satanist.
Well, when did being a gambler ever keep a king out of office?
It's the kind of thing where they were all gamblers, but nobody used it.
Yeah.
In this case, this guy is maybe not a gambler, but they are going to use it. and he's a Satanist. He's consorting with the devil, and in fact, he's using his devilish powers to. They're trying to think of here's an Orthodox cleric trying to think of the worst thing he can say: to seduce nuns and priests. It's like the hanging crime of 1605.
These days, it feels like if you're a creep and you're seducing priests, like that just feels like a Ouroboros.
Right.
Like just let that run.
But
let
back
that
at the time, they're like, won't somebody think of the poor nuns and priests? Plus, there's the implicit homophobia of like, this guy's doing it with priests. I said 1605. That makes it well more than a century before Peter the Great.
Yeah.
This guy's centuries before. Anyway, so even though everybody knew he's a fake, nobody ever says, get this guy, he's a fake. They just say, get this guy, he's a Satanist.
Right. He's the real czar. He's just in league with Satan. Right.
Yeah. And so all these people who had supported him turn on him. He's just not Russian enough. It starts off with monks saying, hey, this guy just said he was invincible, but only God is invincible. Mm-hmm. And then the boyars turn on him, and then assassination attempts are made.
This is what I worry about if I inhabit the body of Hitler or Trump. What if I get it wrong?
You have one worry. Other than this,
I think I do a good job. But
other than this, you think you'd be a grade A Hitler.
Yeah.
This is a clip no one will ever take out of context.
What if his cronies sniff me out and they're like, wait a minute, the real Hitler would never say that, and I'd be like, yeah, that's the point. Like I'm like Hitler, except if he had a good stroke.
Somebody should remake Dave, but just call it. It won't be called Adolf because Dave is the fake guy. It would just be called Heinrich, the guy who gets called in to replace. It would be Roberto Benigni would make this movie.
Yes,
it's his cute Third Reich movie.
Yes,
about a cuddlier Hitler.
Yeah, give him a name like Schultz.
Even Taika Waititi would never try this. Anyway, they start spreading rumors that. I think it's because there's a royal wedding. Oh, here's what's happening. A royal wedding is going on. So there's a lot of Polish diplomats in town, and it's very easy to spread rumors that the Poles are coming to take over Russia, that the false Dmitry is going to sell us out. Are you going to let him get away with this? And they don't. A mob storms the Kremlin. Dmitry shouts a warning to his wife, Marina. He's only been married a week, I think, and tries to jump out the window.
Is there anti-Polish violence in the streets where other Polish dignitaries are getting violence?
Yeah, I think so. I think, there's at least threats that like the Poles are going to like mow you all down. So it couldn't have been a good time to be a Pole in Moscow.
Right.
So they strip him, they dress him as a peasant, they make fun of him. This is almost like something from the book of Matthew. You know, they behold the Tsar of all the Russias.
They dip him in the sewer again.
They shoot him in the head, stab him, dress him up as a minstrel, which I guess kind of plays into this guy was consorting with the devil. For some reason, the minstrel outfit was how witchcraft was like a witchcraft stereotype at the time.
Do they shoot him in the head and then dress him as a minstrel? That seems like the weird order.
No, it's much easier. You know how it's like hard to get a sweater over your head sometimes?
I see, but if
there's no head, just imagine how easy it is to wear a turtleneck.
Sure.
That's why you see all those headless guys in turtlenecks all the time. So they drag him through the streets, and in fact, it gets worse than that.
Worse than that?
Yeah, they actually dig him up, like they dig him up years later, or maybe a year later, or
just
something,
to desecrate him more.
Yeah, to dig him up again and be like, yeah, check out this fake Dmitry. And at that point, they like quarter him, mutilate his body again. He's cremated. The ashes are put in a can. The cannon is aimed toward Poland-Lithuania. And they say, get back where you came from, you false Dmitry.
Dag.
Yeah, they don't mess around.
Wait a minute. Why has that not been a thing?
Shooting
multiple times.
Shooting the ashes at the cursed place.
Yeah, like take the
Let's
baddie.
shoot the Rosenbergs at Moscow.
Shoot them through a cannon. God, I like that.
I think you just have to be more bloodthirsty than moderns are allowed to be. This would already be a pretty good omnibus, but this is not the false Dmitry, John. This is the false Dmitrys.
Yeah, that's right.
Fast forward 7 years. The camera moves Indiana Jones style over the terrain to the kind of the southwestern frontiers of Russia. We're now on the Ukrainian.
Which we call Ukraine.
We're now on the Ukrainian border. Yeah. What is today just miles from Ukraine. A new Dmitry shows up.
Oh.
Now, if I were this guy, let's say I'm trying your Hitler thing and some guy has already failed at the Hitler thing.
Yeah.
I think I would be like, that other guy was fake. I'm actually the original Hitler guy. In fact, this guy outsmarts them. He says, I'm not, the false Dmitry was in fact real, but I somehow survived.
I am he?
The shooting, the stabbing, the minstrel outfit, the beheading, the further mutilation after exhumation, the quartering, the cremation, the getting stuffed in a can, and getting fired to Poland. 'Tis but a flesh wound. I'm that guy, and good news, everybody, I'm back.
Literally, I am he, and you are he, and you are me, and we are all together.
He is the Eggman. He's probably some kind of Eggman. He's there appears to be a Belarusian beggar who he bore some resemblance to at the time, it's noted.
Okay.
So he might just be a Belarusian beggar.
Now, my question to you as a linguist is, are the accents of someone who is a Polish-Lithuanian footman the actual son of the Tsar?
Son of the Tsar.
And someone from Belarus, which is way up in the north, or somebody from southern, borderland of the Donbass, they've got to have regional accents here, right? That would be somewhat maybe indicative of.
Didn't one of those guys who was the fake JFK sound like an Amish farmer? I thought one of them had the weirdest voice. Maybe I'm thinking of Robert Kennedy Jr.
Yeah, that might be it.
I think I'm not a linguist, but I think the issue here is, again, it's the same answer. He's just being propped up by powerful people, but also because the real Dmitry went into exile so young and disappeared from the record.
Sure.
I think it's easy for him to be like, of course I talk like Belarusian. I was raised there.
And did the new Dmitry have a story about where he'd been hiding? Was it just he was hiding in the Donbass?
It's pretty hand-wavy. No matter whether he's the Belarusian beggar or a priest's son, there's some rumor that he's a Jewish guy who's converted to Christianity for this reason. All doubts go away when he manages to get Marina on board, the false Dmitry's widow.
Oh. She's like,
this is his play. I think they were maybe only married for a week or a month or something before the mob storms the Kremlin.
But again, this is a great, what have you been doing lately? Just sitting around, probably doing nothing. What about now? You want to be the wife of the Tsar again?
You can be the wife of the Tsar. So she's like, that's him, my false Dmitry, before he became easier to put a turtleneck on.
Uh-huh.
And just like his predecessor, he is able to amass a huge Cossack army, because now he's coming from that part of the world.
Right.
And although he never makes it to Moscow, he basically takes over southern Russia. The time of troubles is a time of civil war. And this second false Dmitry controls quite a bit of the map. He's stopped in a camp outside Russia, outside Moscow, never makes it into the city. But
heard that story before.
It's like so many people before him, many of whom you want to impersonate.
Or so many people after him.
Sorry, after him. So many people before him in omnibus mentions. He does not make it into Moscow. And in 1610, for whatever reason, there's something about a sleigh. He's on a sleigh trip through the snow, and he is some Tartar prince that he's previously flogged, sees him and kills him. He's beheaded by a Tatar prince that he's got beef with.
He should have taken the sleigh bells off of the sleigh.
That's right, because the guy's like, he hears the jingling, and he's like, hey, is that...
Stop laughing through the snow.
Is that false Dmitry too? And And so the first false Dmitry actually became Tsar. The second false Dmitry never entered Moscow, but controlled quite a bit of Russian territory in the southwest. 3 months later, a third false Dmitry pops up, this time on the Estonian border. We got a Baltic Dmitry. New Baltic Dmitry just dropped.
New Baltic Dmitry.
He emerges from behind a waterfall.
Okay.
And again, claims to be, I think this time maybe he's less wedded to the two previous Dmitrys. He's just like, I'm the magical resurrection or reincarnation of, maybe he even just says the original. I'm the OG Dmitry.
I'm Slim Dmitry. Yeah, I'm the real Dmitry.
That's right. What? My name is Waterfall Guy. Wants to try this all again because it's worked. And again, it works again. The Cossacks fall in line behind another false Dmitry. The main thing we're learning is it's very easy to get the Cossacks in your army.
Yeah, it does. I didn't want to say like it seems easy to fool the Cossacks because you don't want to mess with the Cossacks. Clearly, we've figured that out.
And maybe they're outsmarting him. Maybe
And
they're just for expediency finding a Dmitry.
They're just trying to get their way to Moscow, and any Dmitry will do.
We all just want to. It's kind of like life. We all just want to march on Moscow, and it doesn't really matter what Dmitry you prop up in front of you.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, that's right.
Because the main thing's not the Dmitry.
The main thing's not the Dmitry.
The real false Dmitry is in the journey, right?
Yeah, that's right. The real false Dmitry is in all of us.
But Moscow does not like the idea of another Dmitry.
Right, unsurprisingly.
There have been bad luck with the first two. So he is a secret reconnaissance mission is sent up north to seize this Dmitry. He is sent back to a prison in Moscow where he is soon summarily and secretly executed.
And Seize the Dmitry is still a game we play to this day.
Russians no longer play Svaika, but they love to play at recess. They can't wait to play Seize the Dmitry.
You're the Dmitry. No, I don't want to be
Some
the
would
Dmitry.
say Putin is playing Seize the Dmitry on 2 continents right now.
Sure he is.
There are even rumors, John, although this just seems like gilding the lily, of a 4th Dmitry popping up in Astrakhan. But these are all kind of subsequent and appear to arise from bad historians misreading the 3rd Dmitry and chalking.
Oh,
It's kind of like, you miscount Babe Ruth's homers.
yeah.
We thought there was a homer in the 8th, but it turns out we just counted the one in the 6th twice.
Right. The 4th Dmitry was just the 3rd Dmitry, but it was
It
somebody else's
with
handwriting.
a fake mustache.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So there may or may not have even been a 4th Dmitry. But the era of the Dmitrys cannot last forever. As in a hopeful way, we will say that no political era, however turbulent or scary, lasts forever. And
Hear.
Michael Romanov is soon on the throne. And the time of troubles ends with the Romanovs installed on the throne, a throne they would hold for over 300 years.
Yeah, and we know how that turned out.
Perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Romanovs ended happily. I think there's a Don Bluth movie about it, about Princess Anastasia. So now that we're entering a time of transition here at Omnibus, John,
Yeah,
what
we
do
are.
we learn from the time of troubles? Are there lessons from medieval Russia that we should follow as we metamorphose the Omnibus into something different?
Well, one of the things we don't know is how many people will say, I'm here to be the co-host of Omnibus. And when they show up, they're like, I'm actually Ken. And then I have to decide, like, depending on, what their offer is, whether I'm like, it is Ken.
So you will do it. You'll do the
don't know.
Maria Naraya /
I don't know.
Tsarina Marina play, and you'll be like, hey guys, good news, Ken's back.
What if
He has a Swedish accent now.
What if they're also a millionaire, but unlike you are like, John, I'm going to give you $1 million if you pretend I'm Ken.
Ah.
And then I'll really have to say, like, do I think futurelings will believe it?
Well, what we've seen is Cossacks do fall in line.
Cossacks fall in line. A lot of our listeners are Cossack.
I think we will have Cossack futurelings who are like, yeah, you know what?
This works.
I like the new guys. Yes, am I falling for it 100%? No, obviously Ken had his charms.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just I'm just pro Omnibus.
I feel like a lot of our listeners, I don't want to make sweeping generalizations about futurelings, but I feel like some of them might be on what would be described as a broad spectrum of neurodivergence. Some of them probably have facial blindness.
Oh, they'll think it's me.
They have maybe voice blindness, time blindness. So, as somebody with considerable time blindness, if you told me that a thing was happening in a year, it would be the same as if you told me it was happening tomorrow.
Does it happen for past events? Because what you're describing to me is just not keeping a calendar.
Well, yeah, I don't keep a calendar because I keep losing it. But no, Pat, the thing is, a lot of us with that kind of time blindness only think of the past. But there've got to be people that only see the future and have no sense of the past. And I could just be like, or rather, the new Ken, the false Ken, would say, I've always been Ken. And if I were like, yeah.
Maybe when I come to co-host, I should be the false Ken.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, guys, I just came from behind a waterfall in Estonia, and I just wanted to hang out on the pod today.
It's interesting. We've talked about maybe one of our guest hosts being your brother, who we know, A, is an avid Omnibus listener, B, does a pretty good you impression.
Does he?
Well,
he's
find
like
out.
He's kind of like more successful and better looking than me.
So if I have your brother on and your brother is like, no, that's not the real Ken, what do I do then? I don't think your brother would be like, I'm the real Ken.
No, that would be weird.
Your dad for sure all the time says I'm the real Ken.
That's right.
I am Kenneth Wayne Jennings.
He doesn't like being the second most famous Kenneth Wayne Jennings. Well, it does seem like we have a lot of options here.
I mean,
and
you have a lot of options.
And I think you should call the loyal futurelings who continue to if nothing else, double down on their support of the show. They should be like the Cossack futurelings.
Yeah, the Cossack futurelings.
Boy, these guys will follow any guest host.
Well, probably what's going to happen is I see this happening. You're going to go and Jeopardy is going to say, hey, Ken, why don't you start a Jeopardy podcast? And then you're going to be like, oh, sure, I don't have a podcast anymore. Why don't I?
It'll come out on Tuesdays for our Patreon listeners and Thursdays for our other listeners.
And then all of a sudden, some of the futurelings are going to be like, we love the Jeopardy podcast where you're just reading from some book.
This I vow, I will never pod again.
Wow.
I'm going to be loyal.
Okay.
To Omnibus.
All right.
Like as long as I live, I will be like, how Bob Barker used to come back in his 90s and he would just show up on Price is Right.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to do that. I'm not going to be like Carson when he disappeared. I'm going to be like Bob Barker. Like, why is he on this week?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that would require that I'm doing this show when I'm 100.
Yeah. As we all assume.
Although, but with all my new medication, I might live to be 150. Who knows?
And you're waiting for them to invent the quantum leap machine so you can go turn Hitler in a better direction.
Travel throughout time, just inhabiting all dictators.
Hey, Genghis Khan, he's chill now.
And that concludes the False Dmitrys, entry 451.2K0428, certificate number 51533 in the Omnibus. Futurelings, as you have now heard, Ken is going to be graduating to an executive producer capacity on Omnibus.
Foot out the door. I got senioritis.
He does. He's looking at the sun and he's saying, oh, summer, are you ready for the summer? No. Whereas I'm going to be doing in-service days all year long, correcting your papers by continuing the Omnibus project, along with, contingent on your help. Join the Omnibus Project Army.
We need you. We should have a poster where you're like Uncle Sam.
Yeah.
Somebody has to do this without AI.
Yeah, no AI. It's just me with my handlebar mustache.
We need someone talented doing
I need you. But have me be like the British one with the World War I one. I don't want to be Uncle Sam with a top hat. I'm going to do that one too.
You've got a beard.
But no AI. It's got to be real art because Ken apparently doesn't like AI.
I'm the one weirdo
who
doesn't think it's good. I like it when it drives people psycho.
But go to omnibusproject.com/guest. And if you have, three things. If you have a good idea, if you feel like you can present that idea articulately and also be distracted by me trying to distract you and keep on topic by the end.
And slightly nasal tenor voice in the manner of me.
I'll help you get it back around. Don't worry. I'm not gonna take you all the way off. I'll always help you swing it back around. And 3, if you want to be on YouTube, because we're pivoting also to a YouTube component, it'll still be a podcast, but there'll also be a visual component that allows me to wear this incredible collection of old tweed jackets I have.
And if you don't want to be on camera, we will have workarounds.
Yeah, there's going to be a puppet.
It'll be like the Conan O'Brien thing where we'll just put your mouth on top of a
like an
person,
apple or something.
Judge Ito or something.
Or we could also just use AI.
No.
And just have you inhabit a weird Ken facsimile.
What if we just deep fake me for the rest of the show? Nobody knows.
Yeah.
Nobody knows I'm gone.
Would we also deep fake their voice to make it into your voice? I bet
you can do that. But also, like, if they're Australian, I just sound like Australian me.
I think that'd be really fun.
Everyone is like, why does Ken sound so different?
Ken used to like slag on Australia all the time, and now he sounds Australian.
And also, like, when John asks him about Jeopardy, he doesn't know what it is. He's unclear.
No, the people in Australia, they do watch Jeopardy.
They do.
It's Jeopardy. People in France that don't.
No, and that's why they're so dumb and they don't have grass in their parks.
Oh, now he's going after the French again.
If they had Jeopardy to smarten them up, they would be like, Mon Dieu, we could have the grass in the park.
So I want you to go to omnibusproject.com/guest and sign up. I really want to encourage you, as we both do, to go to patreon.com/omnibus and support the show. Is it patreon.com/omnibus or omnibus project?
It's Omnibus Project, right?
Yes. Go to patreon.com/omnibus project.
It is.
And support the show because we are going to have a lot more expenses now that I have to pay 4 people to do the work that Ken and Mindy used to do for free.
But what if I'm not taking my cut?
Oh, well, we're just going to have
you
to...
You could be the bags of money guy.
Yeah.
People are going to be like, hey, John, I want to do a show on Rosie the Riveter. And you'll be like, nope, I'm counting my money today.
I think that enough of your super fans are going to be like, you know what? I used to give $5 a month to my millionaire friend Ken Jennings, but now my poor friend John Roderick, I don't want to give him the money anymore.
I'm cutting down to $3.
But you can continue to send us mail to P.O. Box 55744, Shoreline, Washington 98155, only until I get a new post office box that will have a different address. If you send mail to that address, it will go to Ken, and he'll have to come back here and bring me a box of mail. So, but that's not to encourage you to do it.
You won't make me do the show, though. I'll be like, I've got laryngitis.
Sorry.
Sorry, here's your mail.
And you can always email us at theomnibusproject@gmail.com. I'll be now the one that forwards nice emails to Ken.
If any.
Unless you are writing emails going, Dear Ken, I hate the show without you.
You killed Omnibus.
I'll be deleting those.
No.
I'll put them in a file and I'll send it to Ken on Christmas.
I guess they'll make both of us feel bad.
Yeah.
So who are those for?
Hey, Ken, you screwed us all.
And the guest host would hate them too. Nobody will like those letters.
We'll have a special page on the website that just posts like people that are raging.
Maybe that's my feature. I come back every week and I pre-record me reading a taped email from an angry future life.
I like that. I like that idea.
But then I do Andy Rooney also. Like, does the dentist have to use that scraper thing? I don't like the way it sounds. Listeners, from our vantage point in your distant past, we have no idea how long our civilization survived. We hope and pray that the catastrophe we fear may never come. If the worst comes soon, though, this recording, like all our recordings, may be our final word. But if Providence allows, we hope to be back with you soon for another entry in the Omnibus.